Hi guys, Kara here. Today, I'm going to talk about MS, multiple sclerosis, and Kundalini rising. And I'm wondering, is there a connection? Does anybody know? Can you help me, please? Can you help me, please? Learn more about this potential connection. I feel like there is one, but I don't know. So here goes. I'm going to share my experience. Um, okay, so, I was diagnosed with MS in 2006. And prior to that, I was this little spiritual seeker. 2002, I found myself in Thailand learning, Vipassana, meditation, whatever. And then 2003, I had to go to India and find my guru. And I wanted to learn yoga from the source. And so, I didn't find my guru, but I did practice yoga and read this book, Autobiography of a Yogi, where in there he talks about, mentions a few times Kundalini. It mentions Kriyas and whatnot, Kriya Yoga. So I just kind of had a little introduction to it. Then when I go back to the States, I first went back to Seattle, and there was a couple Kundalini classes that I went to. Now it's like 2004, 3 or 4. So there really wasn't a lot of Kundalini classes like there are now, but whatever. So I just did the kind of spiritual, or the physical practices, a lot of breathing and holding your arms up, just doing funny kriyas. And it's fine. I like it. But I don't think that is connected to the MS necessarily, maybe for somebody else. It wasn't until I went down to Berkeley, California, where, oh gosh, if you if you like spiritual things, you might find Berkeley kind of exciting. I did, and I was just this like little schmucky vegan, just this little thing in my 20s. I didn't have a strong physical body. I didn't have a really strong grounding practice. I was just so excited to learn about spirituality and, to do all the things. I wanted to try all the things. Stumbled upon this thing called Maha Yoga, Kundalini Maha Yoga. It was a free class being offered. And I was so excited because, I was a full-time volunteer at the time. I really didn't have a lot of money. And, so free. I was like, wow, okay, I'll go. I'll check it out. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And the first half of the class, it's called Eyes Open Transmission. The eyes open, so who's the transmitter? In this case, it was this bald, orange-robed guru called Nadaji. So eyes open first half, then second half of the class, he walks around to everybody, and he might put his finger on your forehead or hand, whatever. Or to be very honest, the more that I practiced there, I felt that some of the things that he would do when your eyes were closed were not necessarily pure. Maybe more on that later. But okay, so in any case, it's like you're taking in all this electricity, you're taking in all this energy. I don't know if you're taking it in, but it's like it's also awakening within you the dormant Kundalini. But for me, I just found it to be a very electrical sort of experience. All sorts of things would happen within me. Even the very first class, it was very profound, actually. Like, just in the eyes open part, whatever. And he's looking at me, and then my heart just like broke open. There were no thoughts or anything. My heart broke open. I just start crying and crying, and I'm like, oh, can I move? I don't know if I'm supposed to move. Because everyone is so still. It's like this meditation. And I didn't know, and I was kind of freaking out in my head, but I was like, what's happening? Why are these tears all coming? Like, he's just looked at me. And whatever, thinking in my head, like, can I wipe my eyes? I don't know if I can move. Can I wipe my eyes? And like right when I thought that, he waved at the front of the class. He kind of smirked, and he just wiped his eye. Like, he looked at me and smirked and wiped his eyes. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. I took that as a sign. And I kept going there because I just was like, what is going on here? And I was starting to like have all these like pretty profound thoughts. Like when I read my journals from that time, it's like way more connected than I am now, for sure. connected to something greater, I will say. Okay, so yes. So this Kundalini Maha Yoga practice, I found it to be very exciting and intense, and I didn't know what was happening, but I kept doing it. Then I went to Peace Corps for a little bit and moved back to Berkeley because I was obsessed with this teacher. I was like, I kind of felt like addicted. Like I couldn't stop thinking about him and the practice. And so I moved back to Berkeley, and I moved like right next to the place because I was like, I want to be able to just walk there and go to class twice a week. And so I was doing this practice a lot, the Maha Yoga. And then I went to a retreat, which was like intensive 3-day, and it was a ton of Shaktipat, a lot of meditation. You know, I'm sure I wasn't eating that well. I never really did. Before I got MS, I really didn't. I was just vegan, you know, but I didn't eat, I just took everything healthful out, and I didn't really put, like, whatever. I didn't have, like, vegetables. Whatever. I was a bad vegan. Okay, so then, when I'm starting to then do this intensively, of, you know, whatever the course of the retreat, then I start to get, like, epilepsy sensations when I would just kind of sit in cross-legged posture, and my body would just be convulsing. So, like, after the retreat, I would just try to practice meditation, like, on my lunch break, at work, and I'm just, like, trying to have a normal time, like a normal job. And then I'm just sitting cross-legged, and then I start to have, like, a seizure on my lunch break. And I just wanted to practice meditation. I'm starting to have these, like, seizure experiences. And I got scared, you know, to be like, I almost feel like I want to cry now recalling it. I got really scared, and so I stopped doing it. I stopped doing the Kundalini Maha Yoga practice, and I stopped really kind of any meditation because I didn't want to have a seizure again. It scared me. I didn't want to. So I moved back up to the Northwest. I moved to Portland, and so it's like I stopped the Maha Yoga, whatever. Moved there, and then within like 6 months of living in Portland, I start to have MS symptoms. Optic neuritis was the first thing. Totally lost vision. Lost feeling in my feet. Eventually lost, you know, the ability to be ambulatory fully. But then also, like, I would have these, at the beginning of my MS, was this Layar-Metz syndrome, where it's like energy is kind of just shooting up your spine. But that was also what the Kundalini experience was for me. And Layar-Metz was a bit different. It was more like, I don't know, it kind of felt more just like, wow, like real strong sensations in your spine, like prickling, and it was just uncomfortable. And it's like, why? You just kind of get scared when it's happening. But in retrospect, yeah, like they're both like this spinal thing. And okay, so the Layar-Metz, and you know, one thing, I was a little, you know, just a little kid, but I knew better than Big Pharma already. And so, because I knew that, I like, well, why does my body have this condition now? I know it's not because of a lack of Big Pharma. Like, I just knew that. I've never trusted Big Pharma. And I knew, you know, like if you get a headache, I was like, well, I don't have a headache because my body's lacking aspirin. Right? Like, what's going on? Do I need water? Am I just really tired? What? I don't know. So that was like my mentality. And I was looking for a root cause of MS. And this was like, whatever, 2006. And I had this book. I had the purple copy. Does anybody know this lady, Christian Northrup? But she mentions in here MS and the link to the 7th chakra. I'm going to read a little bit. So, okay, and 7th chakra is the metaphysical framework, this is her words here, around which you build your morals, your values, and your conscience. And I've always thought of 7th chakra as like God connection, divine connection, which is also what Kundalini is related to, whatever. So, okay, so although all life-threatening illness can have a 7th chakra meaning, those that are specifically related to awakening wisdom in this chakra include paralysis, multi-system disease affecting the muscular and nervous system, such as multiple sclerosis and Lou Gehrig's disease. An individual may be born with 7th chakra challenge, such as genetic disease, life-threatening accidents are also related to this chakra and can be major wake-up calls. Okay, whatever. So I just had this, like, sort of, I don't know, bit of wisdom that maybe MS was also connected to, like, 7th chakra. And, okay, so filed that away. I did do some big pharma. I did. Because I was really scared at first, and then I was getting much worse on the big pharma, which made me really more mad. Because I knew already, still, all the time, it wasn't lacking. It wasn't because of lacking, the Avonex or the Rebif or whatever I took at the time. But I kept taking it because then I was scared. But then when I was getting way worse, I got really mad and I stopped. Okay. So, and then I started focusing on, like, more nutrition and more just, like, building up a strong physical body. And I really believed that I could build a new nervous system given the proper ingredients and whatever. I did the research for the ingredients and started feeding myself that stuff. Especially a thing that was real hard for me was to start eating fish and fish oil. And in traditional Chinese medicine, they recommend a little bit of red meat even for, like, conditions. The MS doesn't exist, but it was a recommendation in traditional Chinese medicine to eat meat, and I started doing these things, and organic free-range chicken livers, and, like, whatever. So I abandoned veganism for a little while there because I was so scared, and I just wanted to get better without big pharma. And then fast forward to 2011. I was going through another major life change, and I moved back down to Berkeley, or to 11. Moved back down to Berkeley and started going to that Maha Yoga place again. Thinking, like, kind of wondering, part of me was like, what was going on there? So it was like 8 years in between when I first discovered it and when I was first kind of having the epilepsy, whatever, and then when I went back. And the teacher, like, he didn't remember my name or he didn't remember my face, but after the first class of the, like, transmission, he came up to me. He was like, like, who are you? Like, what? Because he knew that there was this, like, activation had already happened. Like, Lord only knows what he does in there energetically. I really wouldn't recommend anyone really do anything that I did except maybe decide to build a new nervous system. But, like, yeah, now there's warnings about premature Kundalini rising, that it can lead to nervous system damage or it can lead to psychosis even. Now it's just more known about, it's more talked about, but, like, at the time, it just wasn't. And so I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was getting into. But I kind of knew when I went back, but apparently not really, or else I wouldn't have gone back. But, I don't know. So a couple years ago then, I discovered this book called Healing the Split, Integrating Spirit into Our Understanding of the Mentally Ill. This was just on a bookshelf somewhere. Actually, when I was doing psychedelic work with therapy, in any case, this was on the bookshelf, and I looked in the back. I just looked it up Kundalini, and in here they mention, okay, this guy Lee Sanella, San Francisco psychiatrist Lee Sanella, has spent years accumulating case histories of people whose unexplained physical and mental symptoms correspond to ancient descriptions of Kundalini awakening. Many of these people were initially diagnosed as suffering from a variety of disorders ranging from schizophrenia to delirium to multiple sclerosis. This is not surprising, for the effects of this potent psychic force resemble all of these. Yet, it is an essentially benign condition that can lead to rapid personality growth and expanded consciousness if it is neither interrupted nor allowed to proceed too rapidly. And, I just feel like mine proceeded too rapidly. And quite possibly psychosis. Maybe no one has told me about it. Maybe people have just been being nice to me. And I am schizophrenic. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. But definitely this, like, Kundalini and the MS. So then here he's saying that like MS can be mistaken for Kundalini, or Kundalini can be mistaken for like whatever. But I just wonder, like, can Shaktipat, can premature, rapid, can that cause multiple sclerosis diagnosis? I don't know. Do you know? Does anybody know? I've asked a lot of people over the years. I did a yoga teacher training, and there was some woman who was like super knowledgeable about Kundalini. She was the Kundalini teacher, and I was always asking Kundalini teachers and the anatomy and physiology guy from that yoga teacher training, because like I just like, wouldn't you think they would know? I mean, I thought so, but no, nobody really knew anything. I mean, the most feels like in here, I just don't know. Do you know? Can you help me, please? Thank you so much. Any information, just throw it at me. Just tell me about your experiences. Tell me about your concerns. Maybe we can figure this out together. Thank you.